Hi guys, thank you for joining me today. I thought today's video would actually be on connection because I like to spend time in nature actually, and I feel most at peace when I'm in nature because I feel like I feel very nurtured in nature. And nurturance is actually a form of connection, and connection is a fancy word for basically raw relationships, or being able to relate to another person in a way that feels safe for both parties. Now, to build connection, you'll have to understand relationship. In a relationship, you're going to have to understand how you feel around other people. Most people feel really insecure around other people, or they feel like a resistance towards other people. I actually have noticed that if not the only species, but one of the only species that actually doesn't like its same kind. And this is very interesting because human beings are actually really complex beings, and we have been taught to be in a state of too much individuality and too much survival mode. And if you're not in survival mode, you're weak. That's what, at least in America, that's what we're taught. And it has really made people come into a space of, I either have to put food in my mouth, or I have to work, or I get to have connection. So I don't think that you should be able to have pick between the two, but especially from what I've seen in my life and other people, people are very in fear of each other, and it's mostly because they feel like people don't understand them, or they feel like an outsider. And I think that people enjoy nature because they feel a nurturance, and they don't feel like they can don't have to pretend to be any other way. So a lot of people, when they're angry or upset, they actually come out into nature or go outside because it's kind of a relief, or kind of relieving for them. And I find that actually really interesting because nature does have a very relieving vibe to it. So the other reason why I feel like people have a really hard time connecting with other people, and I'm sure what I'm about to say is going to relate to other people, is people think that connection involves sex or sexuality. And we are taught, so this belief system has been developed either by some form of early belief or an experience that has happened where an individual wasn't able to build a connection, but the first connection that they had was sexual. So sexuality, or the act of sex, is only one form of connection. So if you don't know how to connect with people any other way, sex is going to be your first thing. And so people that are establishing relationships, either just friendships, or let's say people that are coming out of addiction, they have no idea how to establish these types of relationships. And so they often feel extremely by themselves. So I think that the gateway to connection and having a relationship with other people is to present yourself the way you feel on the inside. So if you guys are familiar with, there are actually 3 types of way that people are. And it's who you are, how you feel on the inside, how you present yourself on the outside, like your persona, and who you are when no one's looking. So, I think this is very profound because I think that you should be able to be all 3 at all times, but because people are so very critical of each other, or fear criticism or rejection, they have to split themselves into 3 different parties. So if you are not familiar with how to connect with people, it's going to be really difficult for you. So if you were to imagine that you could be any way that you wanted around other people, what would that look like and why you're not doing that? So personally, I feel a very big resistance. I have like a lot of love towards people. It's very like all-consuming, but when I'm around them, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, I feel a very big resistance because I think that people think that they are very like they feel very separated from other people, and it's almost like people are in this physical like body and in this physical self, and so their thoughts and emotions are kind of like ruminating inside them, and I feel like it's really difficult for people to get that out. So self-expression is probably going to be pretty beneficial for anybody really, and the way to express yourself is difficult for some people. So the best way that I like to express myself is I like to imagine like visual, either climate, like different atmospheres, or like weather. Like I'm a very like visual person, so if I have a difficult time expressing how I feel, I usually like to associate it with something visual and then let it kind of manifest or guide me into how I actually feel. So if I'm super angry and I don't know how to express it, you're either going to implode on yourself or you're going to take it out on someone else. So usually I will imagine something that is like really intense for me, such as like fire or water, and I like to kind of ruminate in that. And I wish that was actually what I just said was true all of the time, but it's actually not really true. I do that sometimes, but to express myself, I generally yell and scream, and I usually throw a really big tantrum. That's just kind of a nice way what I do when I'm really upset, but I'm sure most people can relate to that as well as too. So I think connection and having a relationship with other people is super scary for people, and I feel like people kind of convince themselves that they don't need other people when social media is pretty like big. So if that wasn't the case, then no one would be on social media. We would all just be talking to each other. And so I also keep in mind that when you're on social media, you get to present yourself any way that you wish to. And when you're in person, people get to see your imperfections and your little flaws that you have. And that leaves room for judgment. So my next question for you, and something that I like to keep in mind, is next time you're judging someone, and we all judge people, no matter if you want to admit it or not, usually when you judge someone, you actually want that for yourself. Like it's like a secret desire. So it's very helpful to ask yourself, what do I secretly want that I don't want anyone to know, or that I wish that I didn't want? And it will really put things into perspective as to why you're judging that person. And this will kind of take the sting out of connection, because when we want to have a relationship with other people, we feel like we're being judged. So, and we're judging other people as a way to like keep that like distance. So, as I always say, kindness is definitely needed in the world, and it's very important to stay soft as well. Guardedness is not working for people anymore, and it's causing a lot of loneliness. So stay kind today, and I encourage you to really step into taking down your guard and start to be really vulnerable with people, and really stepping into that softness with yourself, because it's definitely needed right now because a lot of people are hurting, and what there is needed a lot of peace and love, and the way that you do that is stepping into your vulnerability and soft side. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will leave my info in the description box below. I have a podcast as well as a website, so if you guys are interested, you can visit that in the description box below. I love you, and thank you so much.